we first screened the pilot last year at San Diego Comic-Con, and you know, it was a lot of people, and I said this at Comic-Con when I went this year, it was a lot of people coming up to me and saying, basically, I really hope your show doesn't suck. Because I really want to like it. And then we came to Fan Expo, and I actually got a chance last year. How many people were here when we screened the pilot last year? So I'm sitting in a room doing interviews, and they tell me, they're like, hey, we're screening the pilot and it's going great. What the hell am I doing here? And I went in, I snuck in the back of the room, and that I think was, that might have been the most rewarding experience from the first season, because everyone was laughing when they were supposed to laugh and cheering when they were supposed to cheer, and that was really cool. But when we went to WonderCon, which I think was maybe after 15 or 16 episodes, it all of a sudden was very different, and a lot more gratitude from everybody. And then this year, Comic-Con, this experience, it's really, it's a lot of what we just had here, and it's really something else. It's really nice.
So I want to ask everybody out there, what did everybody think of season 1? Because that was pretty explosive, and seeing the death of Tommy was just, it really broke my heart. And I want to know, how does that move into how that's going to affect Oliver in season 2?
We pick up season 2 5 months after the events of season 1, and there has been a very big transition in the city. You know, the Glades wasn't entirely destroyed, but the fallout from what happened there it's basically, Starling City is almost in a police state. And everyone, and I think this is a cool thing for the second season, all of the characters are in a very different spot. Oliver is not in Starling City. Detective Lance has a different job. Laurel has a different job. Thea has a different job. Moira's in prison. And Felicity's a lot sexier. No, really, I'm looking at her wardrobe this year and I went, they sexified your wardrobe, didn't they? Said, yes, they did.
Well, I gotta ask you something from a personal place. If anyone saw our panel at Fan Expo last year with John Barrowman, he's a very touchy-feely kind of guy, so what's it like working with him? Does he manage to keep his hands to himself?
Alright, so I had never worked with John before, and we met in passing, but the first few times that he was on the show, and forgive me, I now understand the sort of depth of his fandom and the breadth of his work in this genre, but I didn't really know John that well, and he's a very flamboyant character sometimes, and we're shooting this very serious scene from, I believe it was episode 7, and it ended up getting cut. And it was just John and I running into each other, and it was the episode that we find out that he's Tommy's father. So we have this scene, and he walks away from me, and I'm about to start talking to Detective Lance in Hilton, and just before John goes around the corner, he does this really flamboyant dancing. Just for me, just for my benefit, and I'm trying to talk to Paul Blackthorne, who's a super serious actor, and I start cracking up, and he looks at me and goes, Amell, what the hell are you doing? And I didn't have the heart to blame John, but working with John is amazing, and I hope, and I'm sure you guys hope that he comes back for season 2 at some point.
Characters, it feels like every time I'm on Google, there's always new updates about new DC characters. Is DC taking over season 2?
Well, DC is a lot like the fans last year at Comic-Con and Fan Expo. They looked at our show and said, hey, you're doing the Green Arrow, and we really hope it doesn't suck. And we've had a first year, so I almost feel like DC gave us a little bit of leeway this year. Last year, and this year it's like they've handed us the car keys. It's just DC characters everywhere, and I mean, you know, we have, and lesser known ones too. We have Summer Glaus playing Isabelle Rochev. We have Kevin Alejandro from True Blood, who's playing Sebastian Blood, Brother Bud. We have Michael Jai White, who's playing Bronze Tiger, which is really cool. I get to fight Spawn. That was pretty awesome. And we have actor to be determined playing Barry Allen, the Flash.
On a personal level, I'm always so fascinated by Black Canary. Is there something you can tell us about your love interest?
We see Black Canary almost immediately this season. Who Black Canary is and what she's doing in Starling City is something that I can't explain though. And don't even ask, I'm not going to tell you.
Alright, here's another question you might not be able to answer too much, but let me put it to you this way. There's been a lot of talk online with the success of Arrow and with the anticipation of a Justice League film that they might actually maybe merge the storyline much in the same way that the Marvel Universe has got this, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. New series that also ties into their cinematic franchise. So would you be up for the role if offered an opportunity to take Oliver Queen to the big screen?
Well, yeah. I think that in the pantheon of DC characters, and I'm not afraid to say it probably goes in some order. Batman and Superman, and then I think the next level down is the Flash, right? I mean, the Flash is one of the biggest DC characters out there. So if we are able to introduce the Flash into our show and then spin the Flash off into his own show, then I mean, I think that it would make a ton of sense. Only if everybody would like to make a ton of money to take the properties that you have on television and to bring them onto the big screen. I will tell you this. I know that when I found out about Barry Allen appearing on the show, one of the executive producers told me, and for Barry Allen to appear on the show, we had to get approval all the way up to Christopher Nolan. So that's, I mean, because he's Christopher Nolan, and he's the czar of all things Warner Brothers and DC, and he likes the show and approved of Barry Allen appearing, so I would say that that's a very good sign.
All right. That's a great answer. It's one of the most revealing answers I've had from an actor all week long.
I don't know any better.
All right. Can I ask another hypothetical question based on some rumors and discussion online? There's always been talk of adapting 50 Shades of Grey for the big screen. So, your name's been tossed around there. Is that do you know anything about the novel, if you can call it a novel?
I'm pretty sure you're one of the favorite choices.
I had a meeting with the company that is producing that film to discuss a variety of things, including 50 Shades of Grey, but only as a brief part of the discussion. And this was before I had read the book. I was at the Kentucky Derby this year. I was coming home from the airport in Kentucky. I was sitting in the middle seat on a flight, and if you've ever been to the Kentucky Derby, you would know that I was just terribly hungover. And I had no battery left on my phone or my computer, and I just picked up 50 Shades of Grey and I burnt through it on the trip home. It was actually kind of embarrassing to read in the middle seat of the plane. But I don't foresee myself being involved in that project. Is there a villain in the 50 Shades of Grey books? Did someone kill Christian Grey eventually at some point? Play that character.
You're playing this iconic hero. If you did have the opportunity to play a villain, who would you like to play?
Well, General Zod. That's been taken. Damn. You know what? I would like to play the Riddler. That's one of those things that you have to put out there into the universe and hope that it eventually comes back to you.
Do you think Jim Carrey did an okay job?
Sure. You know what? I think that I'll tell you what. I think that I think right now, if they were to do a new Batman film and they were to make, and it was in the sort of the world in which Christopher Nolan's Batmans exist, and they did a spin on the Riddler in that take, I think Jim Carrey could kill that. But I'm also the same guy, and I'm weird this way. I think Jim Carrey should have won Best Actor for playing the Grinch. Because I always think of acting roles, and I think of degree of difficulty. And there wasn't one thing about Jim Carrey that he didn't change, whether it's how he walks, how he talks, how he looks at people. I mean, that to me is the highest level of an acting performance. So, did he do a good job in Batman Forever? But it was a different type of movie. It was Joel Schumacher's Batman, and in that universe, he did a spectacular job.
Well, while we were talking about Batman, I heard a couple of people say Ben Affleck. So what?
Boy, did that catch everybody by surprise?
Yeah. I actually thought it was a joke at first. I wasn't sure. So what's your take on that?
It still is a joke.
I think Ben Affleck has done really good work. His last 3 directing efforts, Gone Baby Gone, Argo, and The Town. I love The Town. The Town's a fantastic movie. And, I mean, Warner Brothers doesn't just hand out these parts willy-nilly. You know, they don't just say, here, you know, hey Ben, want to play Batman? Like, I'm sure that there was a little bit more of a process to the whole thing, and I know this because I had to go through the casting process, and I'm sure for someone of Ben Affleck's stature is a little bit different. But I don't know if there's ever been anyone picked to play a part coming off of the heels of someone so iconic like Christian Bale playing it, because I mean I don't know, I think that the Christopher Nolan trilogy for Batman is probably the greatest superhero trilogy in the history of film. I don't know if he could have picked anyone that was going to be met with anything but a certain level of trepidation, but I will reserve judgment until Mr. Affleck gives it a good, honest try.
You guys are gonna get me in trouble.
Well, oh man, that's a good question. I think that there's a CW rule against having a goatee. I'm pushing it as far as I can push it, having facial hair.
We are going to go to the crowd for questions in just a bit, but we had a couple more that we wanted to ask. I wanted to know, you know, playing this incredibly confident character, have you personally changed, you know, in your life in the past year plus, you know, bringing life to this role, and you know, always on screen having this presence? I mean, obviously you aren't a superhero in real life, but you do a great job playing one on TV. So, you know, does that affect you as a person in your personal life?
My life has changed a lot only because I used to, when I was an actor, both in Toronto and in Los Angeles, I used to measure my success for that year based on how many days I worked. And I set a goal for myself in 2011 of working 100 days, and I got to like 90 something. And now I measure my years in the amounts of days off that I have. Because we shoot Arrow for 9+ months a year. It's a really difficult, arduous schedule. It's not actually work, so I don't think of it that way, but it's a lot of hours that we have to put in. And I would say that I have become a bit more direct than I used to be. I like to get things done. I'm a very bottom line person, and yeah, that's changed. But yeah, I still try to be the same normal guy. Try.
So I just want to know if, you know, the way that you have to work out, even your diet to keep, you know, this image, do you have a cheat day? And what would you eat on your cheat day?
You know, what happened last year is I had a very specific diet for the pilot, but the pilot is not the series. The pilot is something that I had a month to prepare for, and we get 17 days to shoot it. And like $10 million. As opposed to we have 8 days to shoot episodes of the series, and we could definitely use 17 because every single episode that we have now is the size of the pilot in roughly half the time. So last year I had a very strict diet that I carried over from the pilot, and what it started leading to is it started leading to binge days. Where I was just like, this is awful, I can't do this anymore. So I tried to just have a much more balanced diet this year so that I don't turn into an insane person. So, but you know, I had some ice cream last night. It was good.
What flavor?
Mint chocolate chip.
Yeah.
Baskin Robbins mint chocolate chip is the greatest ice cream ever invented. No arguments.
Oh, do we want to go to the floor for some
Yeah,
questions?
Let's do that.
If you got one, just raise your hand and then shout it out. I see a red baseball cap right there.
Hope it doesn't bother anyone. Kind of a two-parter. I really liked the first season, but the finale really raised the bar in terms of just production value and like my mom cried twice while she was watching it. How does the second season keep up from that momentum? And
Did everyone hear that?
Yeah, so basically the first season we really raised the bar with the 23rd episode in terms of production value and scale, and we are not afraid of that. That episode didn't cost any more money than, you know, episode 23 didn't cost any more than episode 1 of this year cost, and we're making a really big statement in what was supposed to be our first 4 episodes, but I've read the script for 5 and 6, and we are not taking our foot off the gas at all. So, and we used what happened in the finale last year to really give a different impetus to the season. Last year, when Oliver was doing what he was doing, he was almost burdened by this. He's trying to avenge his father, and if he decides to get back into it, and if you've seen a preview, he gets back into it really quickly. It's not, you know, obviously I'm gonna be out there as Arrow, but he's doing it for a different reason, and it actually brings a little bit more happiness to him, which has been very nice for me to play.
The other one is Manu Bennett. I heard he's a season regular now.
Manu is, yeah.
And Manu came on as a series regular this year.
Are we going to see him in?
Sorry, say again?
Are we going to see him in like flashbacks or on like in the present day?
You definitely see him in flashbacks, and no comment.
Thank you.
Yeah. Last is you, right there.
First of all, I just wanted to say it was an absolute joy meeting you yesterday. You are so friendly to your fans. It's wonderful to see that. You're so down to earth and give so much back to his fans when they come up for an autograph, and I really appreciate it. Made my day, made my daughter's day, everything. Back to what you were saying about Felicity and her wardrobe.
Did I say that into the microphone? Damn it.
Is it possible that they might be having some sort of get-together?
What do you mean, like a sleepover? Technically, that is what you mean, isn't it?
Well, in our house, my 2 daughters and I, we bring Laurel. I'm sorry.
I agree.
But I just think that the chemistry between
For sure.
Oliver and Felicity is just off the chart.
Thank you. You know what? There's always hope, because you know I think there's a scene, and you know I'm always interested in how you can sort of get an idea of what the writers and the producers are thinking based on how they cut together the show, because you know they can pick, they can frame it towards what they're going towards, and there's definitely a shot in a cut of an episode, or just sort of watching how a scene was put together, where I definitely stare longingly at Felicity for about 4 seconds longer than I would have last year. And I definitely think it's a possibility. And I can tell you that on the Oliver Laurel front, everything that has happened at the end of last season, they're on a bit of a break. Sure. I will, of course. Thank you very much.
There's a
Good to see you right there.
I was wondering, obviously you know a bit about Green Arrow. What are you hoping to have in season 2 with you guys still on it? What do you want out of the show?
Well, Last year, again, you know, and I think one of the reasons why people really took an interest in Felicity was because she brought out a lighter side of Oliver, and again, not doing what I'm doing because I'm trying to cross names off of the list, but rather because I'm trying to honor somebody's memory, and I'm doing it for much more virtuous reasons. I'm hoping to see a little bit more humor, and a little bit more heroism. You know, a little bit more of trying to be a hero, as opposed to just a vigilante.
There's a gentleman who had his hand up. Yeah.
I just wanted to say I'm a huge fan, and I wish I came last year, but I didn't. But my question is, since we all know the Justice League as a movie, have you even thought of being in it or acting even?
I mean, being in it would be fantastic. I don't know when they're gonna do it, but you know, we'll take things as they come. One thing that it's a personal thing for me as an actor. I tend to get annoyed with other actors when all they talk about is what they're gonna do while they're on hiatus. You know, so now a Justice League movie is a little bit different because it's the same character and it's a natural extension. But my first priority and my first responsibility is to the show, because we have to do 23 episodes a year and they all have to be awesome. So so I'm going to keep my focus there, and then whatever comes up comes up.
So I just want to start off with saying I'm an insanely huge Arrow fan. Like, when Smallville ended, it was like the worst day of my life. So I called the director game to see if I was cast. I typed in how was this guy. I thought it was perfect. But I was heartbroken when I came to today and I was late to get your autograph. So it freaked me out. But that leads into my question. How do you deal with having two completely different fandoms join together to become Arrow? You have people who are like you, who love the comic books, love the character, love that, and then you also have the teenage girls that say, "I want to see Steven shirtless."
Did everyone hear that?
Yeah,
No, do you like being a hero or heartthrob better?
I'm gonna go here on that one. No, you know what? Because listen, as awesome as it is to have like teenage girls as fans, okay? Teenage girls are fickle. And long after they are gone, or even if they remain, the comic book fans will still be there. And you guys are a tough crowd to win over, right? I mean, when Arrow was announced, it wasn't Stephen Amell was playing Arrow, it was Justin Hartley is not playing Arrow. So I understand that, but once everyone welcomed me and you feel like you're part of the family and you guys become very protective, and I'll let you guys have my back.
Did you have a sense of pressure though, taking on such an iconic character?
No, David Nutter directed our pilot and is actually going to direct another episode this year. He directed the Red Wedding from Game of Thrones too. But he's coming back this year. I can't say which episode, but he's coming back. And after my first audition, before I had auditioned for the network or the studio, he sat me down and he said, Steven, I cast Tom Welling, I cast Kristen Crook, I cast Jessica Alba, I found Jared and Jensen. They were my people, you're my guy for this, we're gonna get this done, you don't worry about a thing, I'll take care of you. And I said, Mr. Nutter, whatever you say. So I wasn't nervous at all.
On the front of the whole heartthrob thing, do you ever find people, feel a little entitled? Do people come up to you and just say, just show me the abs? Can I just see the abs?
John Barrowman actually explained to me while he was holding my abs that there is very much a difference between the first season and the second season. It's sort of in the first season, it's like people are inviting you into their homes to watch you on TV, and then in the second season they expect you to be there. And I've noticed that. It's nice. It's nice.
Waving, yeah.
Awesome. I want to say congratulations. The show's awesome. Thank you. Quick question. So I heard you in an interview when the show first came out, and you said, "Let's see Batman do that." So who would win, you or Ben, in a pull-up contest?
I got everybody in a pull-up contest. And that wasn't me that said that. That was David Nunnett. He said it. He said it. Yeah. He's like, I saw Steven do the salmon ladder, and I was like, Batman can't do that. And I mean, he probably could. Yeah.
What do I like to eat?
I like Taroni.
Yeah.
Taroni?
Yeah, the Summerhill.
Yeah. The original one's on Queen West, right? Yeah, I like that one. And then I used to go to, I used to live in the Yonge and St. Clair area, so I used to go to the one before it was now the gigantic one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Taroni's good. You're welcome.
Hi, I think the thing that impresses me most is how you deal with parallel character trajectories, the Rose of Oliver 5 years ago and the Rose of Oliver now. And I'm wondering how, as an actor, you deal with keeping up with that, keeping track of that over such a grueling shooting schedule.
Just to repeat that for everyone, he was asking about the character parallels from the Oliver 5 years ago and the present day, and how you managed to, bring both to life in such a great way.
That might be my favorite part of the show, actually, because especially last year, less so this year. This year I get to inject a little bit more charisma into Oliver in the present day, but when I'm in the Arrow costume, I'm constantly thinking about how am I standing? What's the timbre of my voice? Am I making a fist? There was, I never want to be slouching. And then when I play Oliver on the island, I get to get rid of all that stuff. I get to slouch, and I put my voice up a little bit, and I get to be more of a kid. And the island stuff this year, just as stuff is starting to get a little bit better for Oliver in Starling City in the present day, everything just goes to crap on the island. It's awesome. No, it is amazing. But that to me, and I was am a huge fan of Lost. So I'm a huge idea of the storytelling technique where at the end of 5 years that I get off the island. But how do I get there? How does all of this happen? And I think we're doing a really cool job of exploring that this year.
Better not end like Lost.
No comment. I like all endings though. If you pick an ending that most people don't like everyone hated the last episode of Seinfeld. I love the last episode of Seinfeld. And I love the last episode of Lost. Cried a bunch. Yeah. I've never seen 1 minute of Smallville. Don't applaud. I wasn't doing that for applause. You know what? I did take inspiration from people, but it purposely was not Justin in that incarnation of the character. There were a couple of different characters that I watched. One of, but not limited to, Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad, who's the coolest dude ever, by the way, and super nice guy, and nothing like his character. But there was something about Gus Fring that was slightly homicidal, but very, very, very measured and put together. And there were elements of that I really wanted to bring to Oliver's character.
Let's go on this side right there.
Oh, I have a question.
That's why you raised your hand. Okay, yeah, we'll get it.
But are there going to be any changes to the costume or your bow? Because your bow broke last year, and I know you had a spare, but is there going to be something new?
Goddamn, John Barrowman broke my bow. So the bow broke last year, and then I used Yao Fei's bow in the finale. And then this year, I have a brand new bow, Compound, which people are either very much for or very much against. I haven't found anybody that is just right in the middle. Pardon me?
Definitely for.
Out of the way, good. Well, it's really cool, and it looks very much like a weapon. And also, it's easier to hold back when I'm yelling at people. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Black Mary now releasing season 2.
Yeah.
Are they going to deal with those things on a science level or more of a superpower level? Like, is Barry Allen going to be speedy because he's got some sort of, nanolights in him, or are they actually going to, is the show going to develop characters who actually have?
Did everyone hear that?
So the idea in the first year of our show was that superpowers didn't exist. That's not the idea anymore. Now that being said, everything has to base itself in reality, science. There are leaps to be made, but it's a comic book show on television. We can ground everything as much as possible, but yeah, I would expect that if Barry Allen's around, he's not going to be slow of foot. Right there.
You talk a lot about things you like as an actor and things you don't like as an actor, but do you recall, the moment when you were like, this is what I want to do? Because it's a very brave career choice this year.
Yeah, actually, it's a good question. I was still living in Toronto, and it was 2009, and I had been in a very long-term relationship that ended, and I sort of looked around at, what do I like in my life? Like, what are the things that I want to have? And there was really nothing material that I wanted, and I thought a lot about what made me happy. What made me happy was friends and family and my dog and acting. Acting was a really critical thing, and you can pursue acting in pursuit of material things, in pursuit of financial gains, but it isn't until you really love it, because there are certain things that you can do, and then you can divorce yourself from them. I have a friend who's a lawyer for the Ontario government, and she's really good at her job, but when she leaves the office at whatever time on Friday, she puts her work phone down and doesn't pick it up again until Monday morning. That, to me, is not the path that me as an artist can take. So shortly after that moment of self-discovery, I got rid of almost everything that I owned, and I drove a smart car down to Los Angeles. I got there on February 1st, 2010, and I got cast in Arrow February 1st, 2012. Thank you. Oh, thanks very much, man. And I can tell you that the biggest key, the most important thing that you will ever do as an actor, aside from hold your sides in an audition and ask as many questions as possible, is just be comfortable in your own skin. If you're comfortable in your own skin, then people get that sense. Because you walk into a room and you're auditioning, you aren't necessarily trying to get a job right there. You're trying to give them the impression that you're not going to be tough to work with. When I got cast in Private Practice, that was an offer, and Shonda Rhimes had me come in to meet a couple of the cast and one of the producers, and I thought that it was kind of like a job interview. And sorry for the language, but she stops me like 10 minutes in and says, "Are you really excited to play the part?" I said, "Are you offering the part?" She goes, "Oh yeah, this was just to make sure you weren't an asshole." Okay, Shonda, thank you very much. So yeah, be comfortable in your own skin, you'll go a long way. Right there.
I really love how interactive you are on Facebook.
Thank you.
And I wanted to know, how hard are you pushing getting knocking point wines in Canada?
We're working hard. So my buddy and I started a winery, for those of you that don't know, out in Walla Walla, Washington, and man, the Canadian government makes it really, really hard to bring wine in. So, are there anyone here work for the LCBO? You work for a wine agent. So apparently you have to talk to a wine agent, but we are looking to do it. I would love to do it. Being Canadian, it's very important to me because it's the response has been so wonderful for the show and for whatever I've been doing in Canada. So it would be my hope that eventually we get here. We just need to find the right wine agent. And we need to find a way to get it into, hopefully, at the very least, Ontario and BC.
And fuck cancer.
And fuck cancer, too, that as well.
Okay, I was wondering, what are your thoughts on Roy Harper becoming maybe your sidekick or trying to find out who the vigilante is?
I got some good scenes with Colton Haynes this year so far. He's really good. I like Colton. We have some really fun stuff together in the first and second episode, this is very much this year. I know the producers have said it. One of our major things on the show is if you are going to become any type of crime fighter, superhero, supervillain, you can't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to be a villain now. You have to go through something. Oliver went through the island. Clearly Roy is already pretty good in the fight, but this year and throughout season 2, this is a lot like Roy's Island this year. So hopefully he's going to come out the other side with a few new moves, and maybe an outfit.
We're gonna get you back to your table to meet my fans one-on-one, but we got time for a couple more questions.
Yeah, a couple more, guys. We got like 10 minutes.
Okay, in the 4th episode, there was that guy who was the new bodyguard.
Yeah.
Can you get him back on the show? He's my cousin.
Is he really? His name is Rob, right?
Or William Vaughn?
The new bodyguard.
Yeah, for the one episode, he said you gotta keep up.
Oh, yeah, that's right. No, oh, sorry. Oh, his name was Rob on the show.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. He's really funny, and he's done a couple of table reads for us. We should have him back. We should have him back. Like, I should get mad at Diggle and fire Diggle and like, not actually fire him. Just fire him as my like quote unquote bodyguard because I don't actually need one. And then we should get Rob, the character Rob, back on. He was really funny. He was really funny. I enjoyed him. Please say hello for me.
You should get a commission on his pay.
Yep, right back there, red.
I like Year One. Year One's my favorite. Yeah, I mean that was a lot of the inspiration for the show. I think doesn't Oliver get addicted to heroin in that one, or have to take heroin because he has a wound or something? And we need to do something like that in the show. Yes, in the orange shirt.
Thank you for the wonderful show. We always watch it as a family.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and no one's going to watch it without anyone else.
Is your family here?
No.
Okay.
That's their problem. What is the relationship between Oliver and Thea? She seems to be alone a lot, and I know she was looking for her brother, and he seems to have, I get a sense of almost abandoning her. And second question is, how's the Chinese?
I'm going to answer that in 2 parts. Thea is actually in a very good place this year. She's grown up a little bit, and she has a job. She's taken over one of my jobs, actually. It was like my quote-unquote job. But Thea's in a really good place. She and Roy are still together, and yeah, so Thea, that character's doing really well, and you know, despite the fact that Moira is in prison and not doing very well. So, yeah, I'm very much enjoying working with Willa this year. And as for my Chinese, it's really, really, really hard. Speaking Russian in comparatively to Chinese, easy. But there was actually a scene last year from the finale after Tommy dies, where I actually cradled him and said a prayer in Chinese, and we cut it. And I worked on that prayer. Not a word of a lie, I said it 4,000 times before I said it, because, again, it's really hard, and if you take something in Chinese and you change the inflection point just a little bit, you go from something to the effect of, you know, I will miss you forever to, do you want some macaroni? So, it's getting better though, and I was in China, and so part of it is just not being afraid to use the accent a little bit, and everything flows a little bit better. Yo ben shishiken. It means come and get it. So yeah, those guys back there. Sorry, I see your hands up all the time. This gentleman right here, I see you.
How close did you come to becoming Spartacus?
Very close. I came very close. It was Liam McIntyre and I in New Zealand. I got to do a scene with Manu Bennett as Crixus, and I left New Zealand definitely thinking that I got it. And you know, you need those things along the way. If I didn't get so close to getting Spartacus, I would not have gotten Arrow. So, very much worthwhile. And the guy with the poster right behind you.
Thank you. I was wondering for next season, if you could say, will you have Arrow as more sarcasm, more like funny instead of more serious?
Yeah, I'm looking for the humor wherever I can find it. I try to do a couple of things, and one is I always try to play my parts without ego. You know, I try not to worry about looking cool, because I think if you try to look cool, that's the easiest way to not look cool at all. So I try to do it without ego, and then whenever I get an opportunity this year, even when I'm in the Arrow costume, I try to just infuse a little bit of humor into everything, because I just, you know, levity is important.
Can we get the boxing glove Arrow?
You know what? Eventually, you're going to get a line like something to the effect of, that sounds about as stupid as putting a boxing glove on an arrow, or something like that. But, you know what? The producer...
That's not a bad idea?
I will 100% say that's not a bad idea, because you know what? People really like it, and I can tell you that based on how much of a comic book fan, first and foremost, both of our executive producers are, I would be shocked if there wasn't a reference to a boxing glove at some point.
All right, we gotta take you out of here, but is there anything you wanted to say to this great group of fans who waited in line for you and who have come out here today?
Yes, I would like to do 3 more questions, and then I will say that. Is that okay? Is that right? Is there anyone back? Okay, I see you standing. There you go. You're pointing at yourself right now. Yeah. No, I'm talking to you. That you just popped your shirt like that. Oliver actually feels very differently about Moira this year. I know we saw that scene in episode 23 where I finally confront her and I say no more lies. To me, everything was on the table. I mean, this wasn't written into the scene, but the way that I was playing it, if she had said, Oliver, why did you talk to Malcolm? And I would have said, because I'm the vigilante mom, now give me answers. So I didn't have to say that, but Oliver has a lot of respect for her holding the press conference and saving a number of lives, and is understanding of the fact that she was acting under duress, and you know, ultimately I think has a pretty good heart and cares about her family. Oliver would be a little bit of a hypocrite if he wasn't able to reconcile somebody doing untowards things, considering the way that he behaved in the first season. Yes?
I'm assuming there's going to be any more
Undercover Felicity? We will definitely get Felicity in the field again. Yes, waving at me, back there. Hi! Thank you. That's a really good question. I don't have a favorite episode, but I have, it went in order. I liked 1, and then I liked 3, and then I liked 6, I liked 9, okay? And then I liked 13, 16 is my favorite episode. 16. When I reveal myself to Tommy, that was directed by Glenn Winter, who's our DP, and he's directing three episodes this year, including episode 3. And man, he really takes the reins. So 16 is my favorite episode, and I think the scene in episode 4, when I sit Diggle down in the Big Belly Burger, and I essentially give him my manifesto, that was, I think that was my favorite scene to shoot. I'd say that the last scene with Tommy was my favorite, but it was traumatic and I had nightmares, so it can't be my favorite. Anyway, yeah, okay, one more.
Well, first of all, thank you for giving us a great show. You needed that this morning. Thank you. You turned one friend of mine who doesn't watch TV shows. This is a favorite show, so thank you for that.
Awesome.
I just wanted to ask you, what's your workout regimen? Like, how do you stay
Yeah. You know what? Last year I did a lot of weights and I do parkour. This year I'm doing yoga. Everybody stays quiet in yoga. No one asks me, I enjoy being asked questions here, but when I'm on set, I'm constantly getting questions about, can you come for a wardrobe fitting, can you do this, can you do that? I just want to act in the scenes. I just want my day to be as streamlined as possible, but yoga is good for my body, and it's also good for my mind. Funny story, Jared Padalecki, who we live super close to each other in Vancouver, we're both at a photo shoot, and he goes, hey man, you're looking good, what are you doing to work out? I said, I'm doing yoga. He goes, cool, so what are you doing to work out? I'm just gonna pretend you didn't say that, and you can come up with something else, and you can tell me that. Everybody, I really, really appreciate this, guys. Thank you very much.